Hi everybody, good evening. Hope you're all doing well. Today is the 17th of March 2026 and we're just going to have a nice little read through. We're just going to have a read through Genesis chapters 41 to 43. And I've just noticed that this is reading wrongly, so bear with me while I just update that. Live. So how has your day been? Hope you're doing well. Everything has been good with me, and I'm really happy to see you here. Well, I can't really see you, but I'm so happy that I'm sharing. There we go. Yeah, that shouldn't take as long as it did take me there to actually update. Sometimes when you're doing things live, you just, anything can happen. So how's your day been? Hope you're doing well. As I said, we're just slowly but surely working our way through Genesis. And I don't think I've ever mentioned why I wanted to read the first 5 books, because it's always amazed me how the Israelites, after being blessed by the Lord and knowing that they are the Lord's people, put apart from all other people, and saying that they will abide by his commandments, his laws and his edicts, how they just turned. And the Lord had forgiven them so many times, and they just kept on turning. And I found that hard to understand, especially when I read through the Bible the first time. I was saying to myself, so I have said to myself now, let me read the first 5 books again, just so that I can understand, or not necessarily understand, but sort of see, I suppose the word is understand, why they were doing that. Because I can't imagine being chosen by God, being his people, set aside, and then you just switch and say, oh, I want to worship idols. You know, it's just, I want to sacrifice my children to Moloch, or I want my daughter to become a cult prostitute. You know, you turn, or you forget what you were doing, how you were abiding by the Lord's word, doing your Passover ceremonies and stuff like that, and just forgetting all about that and worshipping the gods of your neighbors. And especially individuals like Solomon, who were wise and they got influenced by their wives. It's just kind of, I just can't imagine how they could think like that. And so, yeah, and that, and also having the opportunity to read and do live streams, that's appealed to me as well. And to share the knowledge, because the knowledge isn't only negative in the sense of what I've just expressed about the Israelites switching, you know, I don't know, you know, they just switched. So whether that's the influence of Satan, or whether that's the lust that human beings can be drawn to, money, sex, power. So, you know, these things just can overtake one's mind. And these are the temptations that are there for us. But we should use the experience, or the knowledge that the experience and the knowledge that we have of the Israelites, and learn from it. okay, from my perspective, and it should be from your perspective also. As a child of God, one should be obedient. If you're told to do something, do it. Don't Don't do it half-heartedly. Don't think you might want to do this a bit differently. If God tells you to do something, do it. Obey. Because when we look at the character of Satan, and the 1/3 of angels followed him out of heaven, 1/3. So that was quite a revolt. That's not, 33% isn't a small number. Okay? And then we've got those 200 watchers as well. So, but look at the world that they are controlling, the world that we're living in right now. What do you think of it? If you listen to the news as I do, what is going on here? Nothing but what? Pure evil. Pure and applied negativity, hate, wars, and it just goes on and on and on and on. So, I don't know, but there could have been a situation where the Lord said, okay, you go and you're so rebellious and you've got so much to say and you want to take my place, you go and rule the earth. Let's see what you can do with it. And look what we have. So, it's not necessarily a learning point, but it's an observational point. We should be observant. We should observe things and just look at the world that we live in. And do you want to say that this is a holy place? Do you want to say that this is a place where one would be proud of to say that they come from? And what's the consequences? What are most men waiting for? I don't know, aliens to come and rescue us? I don't believe in aliens. I don't believe there's anything like that at all. There might be demons. There probably are the demons who, if they are coming as aliens, because they would lay the ground first, and they will come, I can't think of the word now, pretending to be something that they are not. You see, it's just like when Satan hides in the background and sends his troops to do his work. So we wouldn't know, we have this, they call it now the Epstein class. Oh, okay. And we have what? Politicians and royalty and all the evil that goes on in the world. People mention, I actually didn't prepare for this, so this is coming up straight up. People talk about the various families that they claim rule the world, the World Economic Forum, various sects and secret societies that are all over the world. I forget the name. Is it called the Masons? I'll just look it up. Them. Then you have the Ogboni in other countries. They all do the same thing. Okay? And then you just have general evil. But nobody mentions Satan's name. They all go back to various individuals or various families or various royal families. But Satan has been successful in putting these people in front of him. So, because everything that goes on here is an act or is done by the will of Satan. All the evil. So, I keep on saying this. Well, I don't keep on saying it, but I'm saying it now. Don't be deceived. Okay? Don't let man deceive you. Okay? These are representatives. They're being utilized. They're being manipulated. They're being used willingly by Satan to commit all these acts that we're hearing about in the news, all the wars, all the negativity, all the hate. They're the opposite of God. So when the Lord says in the commandments that I read out yesterday, they do the opposite. When the Lord says, thou shalt have no other God than me, they worship other gods, pretending to worship the Lord. But I don't know who they're deceiving, because they certainly aren't deceiving me. Okay, when you go to your average church, just look around, look at their behavior. Do they seem like they're worshiping God there? Okay, when the Lord says, thou shalt not kill, people kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery, they commit adultery. Thou shalt not covet, they covet. So everything is done to the opposite of what the Lord has said. Okay, so we need to understand that Satan is the one behind everything that happens in this world. And the people that are the front, they're just his foot soldiers. And they know exactly what they're doing. So we need to come back, read and understand the Lord's word. Okay? Because we need to learn from the Israelites how they were misled, how they were deceived, and how they were influenced by Satan. Okay? So we just need to have that in the back of our minds. So when you want to read, say, the Bible, or when you're thinking of observing the commandments of God, don't listen to that little tiny voice in the back of your head saying, oh, why don't you just go and sleep? Oh, why don't you just watch TV instead of reading the Bible? Oh, spend some more time in church. Okay? You need to learn how to study the Bible on your own. It's very important. And pray to the Lord for understanding. And follow the Lord's commandments as they are written. Okay? If anybody's telling you to kneel down and pray to some statue, don't. If anybody's telling you to worship the host of heaven like an angel, don't do that. You're an individual made in the image of God, and we only worship God. Okay? One day soon in one of these streams, we're going to go through the Lord's Prayer and why it's there and how we can just pray using that prayer. Okay? Because the Lord, you're the Lord's creation. He knows what you want. But it's essential that we pray to him, following the instructions that he's given us. And it's all in the Bible. Okay? So I just wanted, well, that just came out, really. I didn't have that planned. But it's very important, and I know I do repeat myself sometimes, that we need to understand that Satan is behind everything here. Everything. Okay? And he manipulates people all the time. He's that little tiny voice in the back of your head trying to influence people to do things not in accordance with the Lord's word. And when he understands and when he feels that, oh, this person's starting to wake up, he will try his best to take you back into his kingdom, but he can't once you're under the Lord's protection. Okay, so there's nothing to be afraid of. You don't have to be scared. Pray to the Lord and he will protect you. Ask him for his protection. Obey his commandments. Okay, I just thought I'd share that with you. Why don't we just start with chapter 41? I did say there was a section of the Apocrypha that I found kind of interesting because it expanded on the time when Joseph's brothers came to Egypt looking for food. That was what they came for. And at that time, at the same time, they decided, oh, why don't we see if we can find our brother Joseph. Okay, so yeah, we're going to run through that as well. So let's just start with Genesis chapter 41. We'll bring it up on the computer. There we go. After 2 whole years, Pharaoh dreamed that he was standing by the Nile, and behold, there came up out of the Nile 7 cows, attractive and plump, and they fed in the reed grass, and behold, 7 other cows, ugly and thin, came out of the Nile after them, and they stood by the other cows on the bank of the Nile, and the ugly thin cows ate up the 7 attractive plump cows. And Pharaoh awoke, and he fell asleep and dreamed a second time. And behold, 7 ears of grain, plump and good, were growing on one stalk. And behold, after them sprouted 7 ears, thin and blighted by the east wind. And the thin ears swallowed up the 7 plump ears, full ears. And Pharaoh awoke, and behold, it was a dream. So in the morning his spirit was troubled, and he sent and called for all the magicians of Egypt, all the wise men, and all its wise men. Pharaoh told them his dreams, but there was none who could interpret them to Pharaoh. And their chief cupbearer said to Pharaoh, I remember my offenses today, when Pharaoh was angry with his servants and put me and the chief baker in custody in the house of the captain of the guard. We dreamed on the same night, he and I each having a dream with his own interpretation. A young Hebrew was there with us, a servant of the captain of the guard. When we told him, he interpreted our dreams to us, giving an interpretation to each man according to his dream. And as he interpreted to us, so it came about. I was restored to my office, and the baker was hanged. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they quickly brought him out of the pit. And when he had shaved himself and changed his clothes, he came in before Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, I have had a dream, and there was no one who can interpret. I have heard it said of you that when you hear a dream, you can interpret it. Joseph answered Pharaoh, It is not in me. God will give Pharaoh a favorable answer. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, Behold, in my dream I was standing on the banks of the Nile. 7 cows, plump and attractive, came up out of the Nile and fed in the reed grass. Seven other cows came up after them, poor and very ugly and thin, such as I had never seen in all the land of Egypt. And the thin, ugly cows ate up the first 7 plump cows. But when they had eaten them, no one would have known that they had eaten them, for they were still as ugly as at the beginning. Then I awoke. I also saw in my dream 7 ears growing on one stalk, full and good. 7 ears withered, thin and blighted by the east wind, sprouted after them. And the thin ears swallowed up the 7 good ears. And I told it to the magicians, but there was no one who could explain it to me. Then Joseph said to Pharaoh, The dreams of the Pharaoh are one. God has revealed to Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good cows are 7 years, and the 7 good ears are 7 years. The dreams are one. The 7 lean and ugly cows that came up after them are 7 years, and the 7 empty ears blighted by the east wind are also 7 years of famine. It is as I told Pharaoh, God has shown to Pharaoh what he is about to do. There will come 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt. But after them there will arise 7 years of famine, and all the plenty will be forgotten in the land of Egypt. The famine will consume the land, and the plenty will be unknown in the land by reason of the famine that will follow, for it will be very severe. And the doubling of Pharaoh's dreams mean that the thing is fixed by God, and God will shortly bring it about. Now therefore let Pharaoh select a discerning and wise man, and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh proceed to appoint overseers over the land, and take 1/5 of the produce of the land of Egypt during the 7 plentiful years, and let them gather all the food of these good years that are coming, and store up the grain under the authority of Pharaoh, for food in the cities, and let them keep it. That food shall be a reserve for the land against the 7 years of famine that are to occur in the land of Egypt, so that the land may not perish through famine. This proposal pleased Pharaoh and all his servants. And Pharaoh said to his servants, "Can we find a man like this, in whom is the Spirit of God?" Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Since God has shown you all this, there is none so discerning and wise as you are." It's interesting how the pharaohs, when they knew or when they know that Joseph is being guided by God, they say to themselves, "I want this man to be in charge of what I own." That was his first master. And now Pharaoh is saying, let's put Joseph in charge to prepare us for this famine that's due to come. Because why? He is guided by God. So they understood the power of the Lord, because the Lord gave Pharaoh those dreams, and Pharaoh knows himself that this guy, he's a man of God, and whatever he says is the truth. So let's keep him and let him work for us, because he will also be guided by the Lord and get the job done. Verse 37. This proposal pleased Pharaoh and all his servants. And Pharaoh said to his servants, I've read this already, but I'll just go through it again. "Can we find a man like this, in whom is the Spirit of God?" Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Since God has shown you all this, there is none so discerning and wise as you are. You shall be over my house, and all my people shall order themselves as you command. Only as regards the throne will I be greater than you." And Pharaoh said to Joseph, "See, I have set you over all the land of Egypt." Then Pharaoh took his signet ring from his hand and put it on Joseph's hand, and clothed him in garments of fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck. And he made him ride in his second chariot. And they called out before him, "Bow the knee." Thus he set him over all the land of Egypt. Moreover, Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I am Pharaoh, and without your consent no one shall lift up hand or foot in all the land of Egypt." And Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zap-hen-nath-paneah, and he gave him in marriage Asenath, the daughter of Potipharah, priest of On. So Joseph went out of the land of Egypt. Joseph was 30 years old when he entered the service of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, And Joseph went out from the presence of Pharaoh and went through all the land of Egypt. During the 7 plentiful years, the earth produced abundantly, and he gathered up all the food of those 7 years, which occurred in the land of Egypt, and put the food in the cities. He put in every city the food from the fields around it, and Joseph stored up grain in great abundance, like the sand of the sea, until he ceased to measure it, for it could not be measured. Before the year of the famine came, 2 sons were born to Joseph. Asenath, the daughter of Potiphera, priest of On, bore them to him. Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manesh, for he said, God has made me forget all my hardship and all my father's house. The name of the second he called Ephraim, for God has made me fruitful in the land of my affliction. The 7 years of plenty that occurred in the land of Egypt came to an end, and the 7 years of famine began to come. As Joseph had said, there was famine in all lands, but in all the land of Egypt there was bread. When all the land of Egypt was famished, the people cried to Pharaoh for bread. Pharaoh said to all the Egyptians, "Go to Joseph. What he says to you, do." So when the famine had spread over all the land, Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold to the Egyptians, for the famine was severe in the land of Egypt. Moreover, all the earth came to Egypt to Joseph to buy grain, because the famine was severe over all the earth. So simply, Joseph became a very influential person and also very powerful. And he was just, 30 years old, a young man. But that's the wisdom that the Lord can provide. He's chosen. Okay, just 30 years old. So, that's why it's always good to obey and to listen. And I don't know, where would we find out information for the Lord and what he wants us to do and how he wants us to conduct ourselves? Where has he written down what we need to know, especially in the New Testament? It's in the Bible. It's all there in the Bible. That's why I've said previously that I see the Bible as a workbook on how to live your life. Jesus and the disciples who were inspired when they wrote the words of the Lord tell us all we need to know. And when you look through, what's it called now? Why has my memory failed me? I'm thinking about the book that gives us wisdom or tells us things. Proverbs? Yes. No, it's not Proverbs. It's, I'm sorry. It's escaped me. Let me just look into it. So when is that? It is Proverbs. Yes. So I was mixing up Psalms with Proverbs. It's things that we can learn. It tells us what we need to know. It warns us about certain things that we should avoid. It tells us what will happen if you don't avoid them, So it's important that we obtain that information because it's written there. One just has to read it and follow it. You see, because I I don't know, the Lord probably does still talk to people, but his word is there and we can use it as a workbook on how to conduct ourselves and on how to live our lives. Okay, it's from that book that I knew who I was and that I found out what I need to do and how I need to adjust my life. So, yeah, I don't know why my nose is itching me. I had a bit of that yesterday as well. When I was looking back at the video, I was saying to myself, why do I keep on touching my nose? It's so distracting. So I do my best to lessen that. So Joseph brothers, Genesis chapter 42. I don't like reading those parts in bold, but they seem to be in almost every Bible these days. Right, Genesis chapter 42. When Jacob learned that there was grain for sale in Egypt, he said to his sons, "Why do you look at one another?" And he said, "Behold, I have heard that there is grain for sale in Egypt. Go down and buy grain for us there, that we may live and not die." So 10 of Joseph's brothers went down to buy grain in Egypt. But Jacob did not send Benjamin, Joseph's brother, with his brothers, for he feared that harm might happen to him. Thus the sons of Israel came to buy among the others who came, for the famine was in the land of Canaan. Now Joseph was governor over the land. He was the one who sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brothers came and bowed themselves before him with their faces to the ground. Joseph saw his brothers and recognized them, but he treated them like strangers and spoke roughly to them. "Where do you come from?" he said. They said, "From the land of Canaan to buy food." And Joseph recognized his brothers, but they did not recognize him. And Joseph remembered the dreams that he had dreamed of them. And he said to them, "You are spies. You have come to see the nakedness of the land." They said to him, "No, my lord, your servants have come to buy food. We are all sons of one man. We are honest men. Your servants have never been spies." He said to them, "No, it is the nakedness of the land that you have come to see." And they said, "We, your servants, are 12 brothers, the sons of one man, in the land of Canaan. And behold, the youngest is this day with our father, and one is no more." But Joseph said to them, "It is as I said to you, you are spies. By this you shall be tested. By the life of Pharaoh you shall not go from this place unless your youngest brother comes here. Send one of you and let him bring your brother while you remain confined, that your words may be tested, whether there is truth in you. Or else, by the life of Pharaoh, surely you are spies." And he put them all together in custody for 3 days. On the third day, Joseph said to them, "Do this and you will live, for I fear God. If you are honest men, let one of your brothers remain confined where you are in custody, and let the rest go and carry grain for the famine of your household. And bring your youngest brother to me, so your words will be verified, and you shall not die." And they did so. Then they said to one another, "In truth, we are guilty concerning our brother, in that we saw the distress of his soul when he begged us, and we did not listen. That is why this distress has come upon us." And Reuben answered them, "Did I not tell you not to sin against the boy? But you did not listen, so now there comes a reckoning for his blood." They did not know that Joseph understood them, for there was an interpreter between them. Okay. Because I was thinking initially, how was Joseph able to speak to them? Did they understand the Egyptian? Obviously, they had an interpreter. Verse 24, then he turned away from them and wept. And he returned to them and spoke to them, and he took Simeon from them and bound him before their eyes. And Joseph gave orders to fill their bags with grain and to replace every man's money in his sack and to give them provisions for the journey. This was done for them. Then they loaded their donkeys with their grain and departed. And as one of them opened his sack to give his donkey fodder at the lodging place, he saw his money in the mouth of his sack. He said to his brothers, my money has been put back. Here it is in the mouth of my sack. At this their hearts failed them, and they turned trembling to one another, saying, what is this that God has done to us? When they came to Jacob their father in the land of Canaan, they told him all that had happened to them, saying, the man, the Lord of the land, spoke roughly to us and took us to be spies of the land. When we said to him, we are honest men, we have never been spies. We are 12 brothers, sons of our father. One is no more, and the youngest is this day with our father in the land of Canaan. Then the man, the Lord of the land, said to us, by this I shall know that you are honest men. Leave one of your brothers with me, and take grain for the famine of your households, and go your way. Bring your youngest brother to me, then I will know that you are not spies, but honest men, and I will deliver your brother to you, and you shall trade in the land. And they emptied their sacks. Behold, every man's bundle of money was in his sack. And when they and their father saw their bundles of money, they were afraid. And Jacob their father said to them, you have bereaved me of my children. Joseph is no more, and Simeon is no more. And now you will take Benjamin. All this has come against me. Then Reuben said to his father, kill my 2 sons if I do not bring him back to you. Put him in my hands, and I will bring him back to you. But he said, my son shall not go down with you, for his brother is dead, and he is the only one left. If harm should happen to him on the journey that you are to make, you would bring down my grey hairs with sorrow to Sheol. Chapter 43 in Genesis. Not much to say on chapter 42. Very interesting read though. And it's funny how Joseph is now testing his brothers, because he knows what the result of the test will be, but he's testing them. And also he wept. So I assume he has a forgiving soul. And being that they were kind of hungry, they must have been in quite a state when he saw them. And it's funny that they didn't recognize him as well. Because, wasn't it about 17 when he was taken away? I've forgotten. I think it was about 17. I don't know where that number came from. We're talking about 13 years, but, And I assume the Egyptians and the Canaanites looked alike, so they just thought he wasn't an Egyptian. So, yes, interesting, very interesting. Chapter 43. Now the famine was severe in the land, and when they had eaten the grain that they had brought from Egypt, their father said to them, go again, buy us a little food. But Judah said to him, the man solemnly warned us, saying, you shall not see my face unless your brother is with you. If you will send our brother with us, we will go down and buy you food. But if you will not send him, we will not go down, for the man said to us, you shall not see my face unless your brother is with you. Israel said, why did you treat me so badly as to tell the man that you had another brother? They replied, "The man questioned us carefully about ourselves and our kindred, saying, 'Is your father still alive? Do you have another brother?' What we told him was in answer to these questions. Could we in any way know that he would say, 'Bring your brother down'?" And Judah said to Israel, his father, "Send the boy with me, and we will arise and go, that we may live and not die, both we and you, and also our little ones. I will be a pledge for his safety. From my hand you shall require him. If I do not bring him back to you and set him before you, then let me bear the blame forever. If we had not delayed, we would now have returned twice." Then their father Israel said to them, "If it must be so, then do this. Take some of the choice fruits of the land in your bags and carry a present down to the man. A little balm and a little honey, gum, myrrh, pistachio, nuts, and almonds. Take double the money with you. Carry back with you the money that was returned in the mouth of your sacks. Perhaps it was an oversight. Take also your brother and arise, go again to the man. May God Almighty grant you mercy before the man, and may he send back your other brother and Benjamin. And as for me, if I am bereaved of my children, I am bereaved." So the men took this present, and they took double the money with them and Benjamin. They arose and went down to Egypt and stood before Joseph. When Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to the steward of the house, "Bring the men into the house and slaughter an animal and make ready, for the men are to dine with me at noon." The man did as Joseph told him and brought the men to Joseph's house. And the men were afraid because they were brought to Joseph's house. And they said, "Is it because of the money which was replaced in our sacks the first time that we are brought in, so that he may assault us and fall upon us to make us servants and seize our donkeys?" So they went up to the steward of Joseph's house and spoke with him at the door of the house. And he said, "O my lord, we came down the first time to buy food. And when we came to the lodging place, we opened our sacks, and there was each man's money in the mouth of his sack. Our money was in full weight. So we have brought it again with us, and we have brought other money down with us to buy food." "We do not know who put our money in our sacks," he replied. "Peace be to you. Do not be afraid. Your God and the God of your father has put treasure in your sacks for you. I received your money." Then he brought Simeon out to them. And when the man had brought the men into Joseph's house and given them water, and they had washed their feet, when he had given their donkey fodder, they prepared the present for Joseph's coming at noon, for they heard that he should eat bread there. When Joseph came home, they brought into the house to him the present that they had with them, and bowed down to him to the ground. And he inquired about their welfare and said, "Is your father well, the old man of whom you spoke? Is he still alive?" They said, "Your servant, our father, is well. He is still alive." And they bowed their heads and prostrated themselves. And he lifted up his eyes and saw his brother Benjamin, his mother's son, and said, "Is this your youngest brother, of whom you spoke to me? God be gracious to you, my son." Then Joseph hurried out, for his compassion grew warm for his brothers, and he sought a place to weep. And he entered his chamber and wept there. Then he washed his face and came out, and controlling himself, he said, "Serve the food." They served him by himself, and them by themselves, and the Egyptians who ate with them by themselves, because the Egyptians could not eat with the Hebrews, for that is an abomination to the Egyptians. Oh, I never knew that. So the Egyptians saw the Hebrews as inferior, but Pharaoh appointed Joseph to the position that he is in, basically running the country as an administrator. But Pharaoh knew that Joseph was guided by God. So whatever prejudice he might have had against Hebrews, he put that behind him and done what he knew would be good for himself and for his people. Let me just go to 32 again, verse 32. They served him by himself and them by themselves, and the Egyptians who ate with him by themselves, because the Egyptians could not eat with the Hebrews, for that is an abomination to the Egyptians. And they sat before him, the firstborn according to his birthright, and the youngest according to his youth. And the men looked at one another in amazement. Portions were taken to them from Joseph's table, but Benjamin's portion was 5 times as much as theirs. And they drank and were merry with him. Okay, that's kind of interesting, because that's kind of interesting. Moving for Joseph, weeping for his brothers that basically wanted to kill him, which means he has a forgiving heart, and everything has worked out. So yeah, that was interesting. What I did say I was going to do, because we do have a little bit of time left, I'm not like, I would like to keep these things short, but sometimes you just have a feeling that you would need to share the information. I did say in the Book of Jasher, well, I thought it was Jubilees initially, but it's actually in the Book of Jasher, in the Apocrypha, that they have another version of Joseph's brothers coming to Egypt initially. And it's in chapter 51 of the Book of Jasher. It's, what I must say, it's a very long chapter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read up to the place where, as I mentioned yesterday, Joseph's brothers went looking for him in a brothel. And we can compare both versions. I do have a camera here, so let's see if I can get this right so you can read along with me. Right, here we go. Chapter 50. Give me a second. Chapter 51. Okay. And Jacob afterward heard that there was corn in Egypt. And he called unto his sons to go to Egypt to buy corn, for upon them also did a famine prevail. And he called unto his sons, saying, Behold, I hear that there is corn in Egypt, and all the people of the earth go there to purchase. Now therefore, why will you show yourselves satisfied before the whole earth? Go you also down to Egypt, and buy us a little corn among those that come there, that we may not die. And the sons of Jacob hearkened to the voice of their father, and they arose up to go down to Egypt in order to buy corn among the rest that came there. And Jacob their father commanded them, saying, When you go into the city, do not enter together in one gate, on account of the inhabitants of the land. And the sons of Jacob went out, and they went to Egypt. And the sons of Jacob did all as their father had commanded them. And Jacob did not send Benjamin, for he said, lest an accident might befall him on the road like his brother. And 10 of Jacob's sons went out. And while the sons of Jacob were going on the road, they repented of what they had done to Joseph. And they spoke to each other, saying, we know that our brother Joseph went down to Egypt. And now we will seek him where we go, and if we find him, we will take him from his master for a ransom. So you see right at the beginning, this bit was missed, or it wasn't included in Genesis, what we've just read. So I know some people say, oh, well, it's not a book of the Bible, but that's fine. And I know I said one should not be deceived, but the stories are basically the same story, just that Jasher goes into more depth. So I don't think there's any harm in reading it. Okay, just to, it makes things a bit more interesting. Is that the right word? I think it just brings everything into context. Okay, that the brothers regretted what they had done to Joseph, and they said, well, look, okay, we're on our way to Egypt. Let's search for him, and if we find him, we're going to buy him from his master. Okay, so I don't think there's any harm in really knowing that. So we're on let's just go to verse 6. And while the sons of Jacob were going on the road, they repented of what they had done to Joseph, and they spoke to each other, saying, we know that our brother Joseph went down to Egypt, and now we will seek him where we go, and if we find him, we will take him from his master for a ransom, and if not, by force, and we will die for him. And the sons of Jacob agreed to this thing, and strengthened themselves on account of Joseph, to deliver him from the hand of his master. And the sons of Jacob went to Egypt, and when they came near to Egypt, they separated from each other, and they came through 10 gates of Egypt, and the gatekeepers wrote their names on that day, and brought them to Joseph in the evening. And Joseph read the names from the hand of the gatekeepers of the city, and he found that his brethren had entered at the 10 gates of the city. And Joseph at that time commanded that it should be proclaimed throughout the land of Egypt, saying, go out, all you store guards, close all the corn stores, and let only one remain open, and that those who come may purchase from it. And all the officers of Joseph did so at that time, and they closed all the stores and left only one open. And Joseph gave the written names of his brethren to him, that he was set over the open store. To him that was set over the open store. And he said unto him, whosoever will come to you to buy corn, ask his name, and when men of these names will come before you, seize them and send them. And they did so. And when verse 12. And when the sons of Jacob came into the city, they joined him in the city to seek Joseph before they bought themselves corn. And they went to the walls of the harlots, and they sought Joseph in the walls of the harlots, for 3 days, for they thought that Joseph would come into the walls of the harlots. For Joseph was a very comely and well-favored, and the sons of Jacob sought Joseph for 3 days, and they could not find him. What I found interesting there was that, obviously now it makes more sense. Joseph was a handsome man, physically and looks-wise, so they thought, well, he's probably been traded in as a prostitute. And, so they're looking for him for 3 days. 3 days. I suppose one can assume that the section of where there were brothels was quite big. And they must have gone from door to door, from brothel to brothel, looking for their brother. But then again, as we have noted, it's very unlikely that they would have recognized him anyway, because they didn't recognize him when he was in Pharaoh's house. But I assume that would have been more acute because they wouldn't have expected him to be in the position that he was in. I think I said it yesterday, but I'm assuming that most of the customers of brothels are men. So one can assume that David was there as a male prostitute. Well, not there, but he would have been there as a male prostitute for men. But who knows? There's also the likelihood that he could have been there as a male prostitute for women, or even for both. So I just thought that was an interesting part to read from Jasher. So you can see the slight differences in what we're being told, but it's the same story. Just from my perspective, Jasher has gone into a little bit more depth. So I just thought that was something worth listening to. So it's been great. I've really enjoyed doing this reading, and I hope you have found it interesting too. I intend to live stream again tomorrow and for the rest of the week, for the weekdays. So I look forward to doing my stream tomorrow, and I really hope that you can join me. I really hope that you can join me. Okay, well, take care now, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Good night.